everybody. It's Friday. Happy Friday, June 12th, 2020, and I am so excited for our dance party. And if you are watching this after our dance party, I know that we are going to have so much fun. So I will say to you, I loved having a dance party together today. All right, so before we get started today, I want you to make sure that you have your dry erase surface, you have the tools that you need, a dry erase marker, an eraser if you need one. We have a riddle today, we have a secret message today, and I'm going to share the next 2 chapters in Jack and Annie today, Lions at Lunchtime. So only 7 and 8 today, and then we'll finish the story on Monday. All right, so before we start with our riddle, let's talk about what you're going to share the news with your families. I want you to think about if you were sitting down to dinner, and this might have happened before, somebody at your house spilled their milk at dinner time, and they are feeling really embarrassed. What would you do to help that person in your family not feel embarrassed? What would you do to help them feel like it was okay that they spilled their milk and that it was just an accident? Share that with your family. Talk about that a little bit. It's good to know what to say or what to do when people are having a hard time. All right, I also, after we finish the 2 chapters today, I want you to talk to your family about, what does the story tell us to let us know that Jack and Annie are in danger? So when we know that Jack and Annie are in danger at the end of these chapters, what does the story tell us to give us clues so that we know there's danger close by? All right, here is your riddle for today. I asked Brian and I stumped him with this riddle. So we'll see if you can figure it out. When we're finished, go ahead and ask a grown-up in your house and they can check the email and find out what do you call a dinosaur who is sleeping? What do you call a dinosaur that is sleeping? Say it with me. What do you call a dinosaur that is sleeping? Go ahead and skywrite it with me. What do you call a dinosaur that is sleeping? Dot. All right, I'm going to do my lines, and then it's going to be your turn to pause the video and go ahead and do that writing by yourselves. You guys have gotten so good at your writing. Thank you for sending me the pictures this week. I get to see all the hard work that you're doing and all the things that you're learning while you're at home. All right, so here we go. What do you call a dinosaur who is sleeping? Dot. All right. So go ahead and check my lines with me. What do you call a dinosaur who is sleeping? Dot to end your thought. Thanks, my friends. Thanks for saying good job, buddy. And I'm going to say good job, buddy, to you after you go ahead and plan your lines and touch and read them to yourself or to somebody at home to double check. Make sure you have the right number, and then go ahead and get your writing started. The things I want you to make sure you have when you are finished with your writing are the memory bank words. What do you So these are your memory bank words to check. What do you is? Excellent. Make sure all of those look the right way. All right, and then your word patterns, I want you to check and make sure you have are, e, and ing. And make sure you have a mystery mark, that question mark right there. So e and ing, and they might even be in the same word. All right, so that is your riddle for today. And think of an answer. What do you call a dinosaur who is sleeping? I wonder what it might look like or what he might sound like. Interesting. All right, my friends, if you are ready, but if you're not, make sure you hit the pause button. If you're ready, we're going to start the secret message. And the secret message is from me today. And I'm going to do lines again today so you guys can really see where one word starts and one word ends. All right, so back to how we were doing it before. All right, I have my lines. I'm going to fill in my words, and then I'm going to stop. Then I'm going to hold it up, and I want you to stop it if you want to try and read this message all by yourself. There's some memory bank words. There's some word patterns. There are actually a lot of words that you guys will already know when you see what the message is. There might be one word that's going to be super tricky. This is like my favorite part in the story that we're writing about today. Okay, so I'm going to show it here. Remember, if you want a challenge and you want to go ahead and read that message all on your own, go ahead and pause it and see if you can figure out what it says. See if you can decode the secret message. Next thing I'm going to do is I am going to circle our memory bank words in green. And I am going to put a box around our word patterns in purple. So green memory bank words, purple word patterns. Ooh, it's a good one. Okay, so here it is all boxed out for kids who want to use this as a strategy, where I'm helping you with memory bank words are in green and word patterns are in purple. All right, if you want to pause it here and see if you can figure that out, go for it. And then the rest of us are going to go ahead and move on. So let's do a little decoding with all of these strategies that we have. So let's look at the memory bank words first in green. Here we go. What's this one? The. Excellent. This one can be tricky sometimes. And good. How about this one? Good. I gave my A a little tail. It must have been a little lazy hand that I had. How about this one? Good. 2. Excellent. And let's take a look at our word patterns. So way up here. This is our word pattern that you've learned at home. This is ave, like cave. Good. So let's build that word while we're right here. G-ave. What's the word? gave. Excellent. And let's take this word pattern. You know, what is it? Ack. And what's the word? Jack. Good. And if we have Jack and usually the word and, who's usually after? Annie. Good. All right, so let's take a look at this one here. Ooh, it looks like Mrs. Murray put a box around two word patterns side by side. So we have this one that says ow or o and good, and today it's going to be ow. And this one is so we have ow, put it together, hour. Good, so let's put these two sounds together. Say shh, like shark. So let's build this word. Shh, ow, put it together. Shower. Excellent, you guys. All right, and the last word pattern is that trickster. It's either E like bead or eh like bread. So this one's going to be E like bead. So let's build it. I see a blend in the beginning. Here we go. K, oh, put it together. Clean. Build it. Clean. So nice. Excellent. So we have lots of words here. Let's go back to the beginning. We have memory bank word the. We have word pattern ave. Build it. Gave. Good. Jack. And, you know this one, Annie. Good. Memory bank word here's our word pattern word. Hour. Shower. To. And then clean. So now we have to fill in these other tricky words. So right here, I'm going to give you this one. But I want you to listen a little bit. Listen to the words that we do remember. The, gave, Jack, and Annie, a, shower, to, clean. Does that sound familiar with any of the chapters that we've been reading? If you had to make a smart guess with all the other words that you know, what do you think this was? What do you think this word would be? Knowing about Jack and Annie needing a shower, what do you think this word could be that starts with the eh sound and ends with the t? Do you think it might be elephant? You're right. Nice thinking. The elephant gave Jack and Annie a shower to, try it by yourself, 3 sounds, get clean. Nice work. And that is how we do it when there are some tricky words, but then there are some words that we know and there's some word patterns that we know. Really nice job today, you guys. All right, get comfy. Let's listen to chapters 7 and 8. We're almost finished with this story. If you remember, Jack and Annie just got a shower from the elephant, right? And then something was happening after Annie got clean and Jack was having his turn. Annie noticed something flying around. What was it? That's right, there was a bird fluttering around, and Annie had an idea that maybe we should follow that bird, right? Chapter 7 is called Hi There. The forest was cooler than the sunny plains. It was filled with shadows and lots of birds making noises. "Where are you?" Jack shouted. "Over here," said Annie. He found her in a thick glade, so that's where he couldn't really see her because all of the trees were so close together, or all of the tall grass was so close together. Bright rays streamed between the trees. Green leaves and vines swayed in the dappled light. The little gray bird sat in a tree, twittering at them. "Yuck! What's that?" said Annie. She pointed to a round brown thing hanging from a low branch. Bees were buzzing around it. "If that's her nest, it's a pretty weird nest," said Annie. "What do you think it is?" "I think it might be a beehive, too." "That's not a nest," said Jack. "It's a beehive. Don't you see the bees flying around?" "Yikes," said Annie. She stepped back from the tree, but the little bird darted into the beehive and pecked at it. That means she poked her beak. What's she doing? Asked Annie. The bird kept pecking at the hive. I don't know. Maybe she's as wild and crazy as you are, said Jack. He looked it up in the book and found out some things about this bird. Huh. See if she's as crazy as I am, said Annie, as Jack was looking. Are you kidding, said Jack. That nutty bird isn't going to be in this book. Just look, said Annie. Jack opened his Africa book. He kept turning the pages. Just as he thought, there was not going to be any gray bird in that book. Forget it, he said. Please keep looking, said Annie. Jack turned one more page, and there it was, the little gray bird, a beehive, and a tall man with paint on his face. He was carrying a stick with a point on the top, like a spear. I don't believe this, said Jack. Then he read out loud to Annie. This bird is called a honey guide, and you guys know about the honey guide if you listen to Mrs. Ewan's story, Honey, Honey Lion. It's both a friend and a helper to the Maasai people, an African tribe known for their fierce fighting skills and bravery. So I know that you heard about the Maasai people when you were listening to how people help each other in the savannah. Hi, honey guide, Annie called to the bird. I knew you must be important. Jack kept reading. The honey guide leads a Maasai tribesperson to a beehive. The bird waits for him to scatter all the bees away and take the honey. Then the bird feasts on the honeycomb. That's cool, said Jack. Interdependent relationship, right, kindergarten? They work together like the zebras, the wildebeests, and the gazelles in the beginning of the story. Yeah, said Annie, and she wants us to be her helpers. We need to move those bees, scatter those bees so that she can get the honeycomb. How do we do that? Wondered Jack. He looked back in the book, but it didn't say how. Maybe we could wave those long vines or weeds at them, said Annie. She pointed to some bright green leaves that looked like giant fans. Wow, almost like the jungle or the rainforest. Jack put his book and backpack down. He and Annie pulled up the weeds. They waved them near the tree, and the bees started flying away. Next, Jack grabbed the tree branch and started jiggling it. The beehive fell to the ground and broke open. Annie stooped and stuck her finger into the golden honeycomb. Yummy, she said when she tasted the honey. Try it. Jack stuck his finger into the honeycomb. I wonder how it tastes. How many of you like honey? I like honey. I used to put a little bit of sugar on my strawberries when I would cut them up fresh, but now I've started putting honey, and it's even sweeter. Jack licked the golden honey off of his fingers. It was the sweetest honey he had ever tasted. Now the honey guide can get to her honeycomb, said Annie. Yeah, but she'd better hurry before the bees come back, said Jack. It's weird, said Annie. Honey is so sweet and good, but to get it, you have to go past a lot of dangerous bees. Oh, man, whispered Jack. That's it. That's what, said Annie. Jack said Morgan's riddle out loud. I'm the color of gold, and I'm sweet as can be. But beware of the danger that's all around me. Who am I get it, Annie whispered. Honey? Honey, said Jack, nodding and smiling. That's it. We've answered Morgan's next riddle. Let's get out of here. He stood up to leave and then gasped. Standing in the shadows was a tall man with a spear and a curved sword hanging from his belt. His face was painted in fierce, mean, bright colors. What do we know about those people that paint their faces? Are they part of the Maasai tribe? Jack knew at once he was a Maasai warrior. "Hi there," Annie said in a small voice. Yum. Chapter 8. The warrior stared back at Jack and Annie. "We're helping one of your honey guides," said Annie. The warrior was as still as a statue. "We didn't mean to take anything," Jack said. "In fact, it's all yours. We've had enough honey." "Lots of good honey still in there," said Annie, smiling. The warrior narrowed his eyes. "Is he angry?" Jack worried. "I'm sorry if we were trespassing, and when you're trespassing, that means you're somewhere where you're not supposed to be," said Jack. "We come in peace. In fact, we brought gifts." He picked up his backpack and held it out to the warrior. The warrior still didn't move. He just was staring at Jack and Annie. "I brought you this." Jack held up his book. Nothing. Jack reached back into his backpack. He pulled out the big jar of peanut butter. "Peanut butter?" Then he pulled out the loaf of bread. "Bread? Hey, how about a peanut butter and honey sandwich?" "Yum," Annie said, watching the warrior. The warrior just stared at the food. "We'll show you," said Jack. As Jack unwrapped the bread, his hands were shaking. Annie opened the jar. "We don't have anything to spread the peanut butter," she said. "Just use your fingers," said Jack. "Excuse me," Annie said to the warrior. "I have to use my finger, but they're pretty clean. I was just given a shower by an elephant." "Just do it, Annie," said Jack. Okay. She spread the peanut butter onto the slice of bread with her fingers. At the same time, Jack spread the honey from the beehive onto the other piece of bread. Jack and Annie put their pieces of bread together. "Ta-da!" said Annie, handing the sandwich to the warrior. Think for a minute. When else did she say "ta-da"? I think she was holding out a flashlight. The warrior took the sandwich. But he didn't eat it. He just looked at it. "Oh, quick, let's make sandwiches for us too," said Jack, "so he doesn't have to eat all by himself." They quickly made 2 more sandwiches. "See, like this," said Annie. She bit into her sandwich. "Yum," said Annie. Jack took a bite too. He said to the warrior. It really was good. Finally, the warrior bit into his sandwich and chewed slowly. What would it look like? "This is called a picnic," said Annie. They ate their sandwiches in silence. When they finished, Jack screwed the lid back onto the peanut butter jar. "Not bad, huh?" he said. The warrior smiled. He had a kind, dignified smile. Friendly, humble. Jack and Annie smiled back at him. Then the warrior turned gracefully and vanished into the trees. "Oh no," said Jack. Part of him wanted to follow the silent warrior through the shadowy forest. "Are you ready?" Annie said softly. Jack nodded. Annie started to go. "Wait," said Jack. He put away the peanut butter and the bread. "We're going back to the treehouse, right? We're not going to do anything silly, like rescue anything or chase any birds, right?" "Those things aren't silly," said Annie. "Don't forget, that bird gave us the answer to the riddle." "Oh, you're right," said Jack. He looked at the little honey guide. She was on the ground, pecking at the honeycomb. "Thanks," Jack said to the bird. "Have a good feast," said Annie. Jack put on his backpack, then he and Annie started out of the forest. When they passed the pond, they saw the elephant still splashing in the water. He lifted his trunk. He seemed to be waving at them. They rounded the bend in the river, then started through the tall grass. As they walked back towards the treehouse, they saw the wildebeests in the distance. There was some crossing the river. They saw a family of zebras grazing together. They saw one lone giraffe walking from tree to tree, eating leaves. They saw a bunch of lions sleeping in the shade of a tree, the same tree that the treehouse was in. "Whoops," said Annie. Jack's heart gave a jump. "So there they are," said Jack. Now remember, what clues do you know that Jack and Annie are in danger? Go ahead and talk to somebody in your house about that, and remember also to share the news on what would you do or how would you help if somebody spilled their milk at dinner. All right, my friends, have a great weekend. I'll see you on Monday, where we'll finish our very last Jack and Annie story. Lots of love. Bye-bye for now.